On a quiet summer night, two wealthy parents sat in their Beverly Hills mansion, unaware that their own sons were about to change American crime history forever. It was the evening of August 20th, 1989. Jose Menendez and his wife, Kitty, were relaxing in their living room. The house was filled with luxury, expensive furniture, artwork, and the signs of extreme wealth. Jose was a powerful entertainment executive. Kitty was a former teacher. From the outside, they looked like the perfect American family. But that night, their two sons, Lyle Menendez, 21, and Erik Menendez, 18, came home. What happened next would shock the nation. Lyle and Erik were raised in privilege. They lived in a mansion in Beverly Hills. They attended private schools. They wore expensive clothes, drove nice cars, and traveled often. People assumed they had perfect lives. But behind closed doors, things were very different. Friends and later court testimony described Jose as strict, controlling, and emotionally harsh. He demanded perfection. Failure was not tolerated. Erik, the younger son, was described as shy and sensitive, often anxious and afraid of disappointing his father. Lyle was more confident, but still lived under intense pressure. Years later, the brothers would claim something far darker. They said their father sexually abused them for years. They said their mother knew and did nothing. They said they lived in fear, humiliation, and silence. These claims would become the center of one of the most controversial trials in American history. On that night, according to the brothers, an argument broke out. Tensions that had been building for years finally exploded. Lyle and Erik retrieved two shotguns they had legally purchased days earlier. They walked into the living room and opened fire. Jose was shot multiple times and died instantly. Kitty tried to crawl away, injured and terrified, but she was shot again. The attack was brutal, violent, overkill. Within minutes, both parents were dead. What happened after the murders confused investigators even more. The brothers did not run. They did not call for help immediately. They left the house calmly, later calling police and claiming they had returned home to find their parents murdered. At first, police believed it was a mob hit or home invasion. Jose Menendez had powerful business connections, and the house showed no signs of forced entry. But something didn't add up. The brothers began spending large amounts of money. They bought luxury watches, cars, expensive clothes, and traveled. Their behavior raised red flags. Then came the turning point. Months later, Erik confessed to the killings, not to police, but to his therapist. That confession eventually reached investigators. Both brothers were arrested in 1990. America was stunned. Two rich, clean-cut sons accused of murdering their own parents. The trial became a media sensation. Television cameras filled the courtroom. Every detail was broadcast to millions of viewers. People took sides. Some believed the brothers were victims. Others believed they were greedy killers. The prosecution argued one main motive: money. Jose's death meant access to a multi-million-dollar inheritance. The defense told a different story. They described years of sexual abuse, emotional control, and fear. Psychologists testified about trauma, dissociation, and the effects of long-term abuse. Erik broke down on the stand, describing abuse in painful detail. Lyle admitted to participating in the killings, but said they believed their parents would kill them first. The nation watched in disbelief. The first trial ended with hung juries, no agreement. But the second trial was different. This time, the judge limited how much abuse testimony the jury could hear. The focus shifted back to the killings themselves. In 1996, Lyle and Erik Menendez were convicted of first-degree murder. They were sentenced to life in prison without parole. Today, decades later, the Menendez brothers remain behind bars. Their case still divides public opinion. Some see them as cold-blooded killers who wanted money and freedom. Others see broken sons shaped by trauma, fear, and silence. The Menendez case forced society to confront uncomfortable truths. That wealth does not protect families from violence. That abuse can exist behind gates, money, and status. And that the line between victim and criminal is sometimes painfully complex. This was not just a crime. It was a tragedy wrapped in privilege, secrecy, and unanswered questions. A story that still refuses to be forgotten.